Here we are at the 4th annual In Control Conference in Orlando, Florida. I myself, Mat Helme, am joined by Aaron Draplin, and here to talk about some design. How you doing, Aaron?
It's cool, man. It's under 70 degrees. This is a dangerous climate for a man mountain like myself to come down to.
Because you're coming from Portland, correct?
Yeah, Portland, Oregon. Yeah. So I mean, coming down here, anything below that sort of, it's just tricky down here, you know. So I have like February cutoffs and stuff for Austin. Because I went to Austin in March one time and never again.
Couldn't do it.
Never again.
Yeah, I hear you. So for those who don't know who Aaron Draplin is, can you explain or describe yourself and what you do?
Sure. Wow.
It's a tough one.
I know it's like it's going to sound cooler than it is or something, but I make logos. You know, I work for myself. I'm 39 years old. I'm from Michigan, but I live out in Portland, Oregon, and I work on cut my teeth and a lot of snowboarding brands, and still do. And then have transitioned over into a lot of identity work, and then rolling the dice on making. I have a little memo book company called Field Notes I work with Jim Coudal and a bunch of people way smarter than me up in Chicago, and we make Field Notes memo books and all sorts of other crusty little pursuits, posters and bad hats, and as much as I can do to get away with it, right? You know, I don't like to wear pants, right? So the metaphor is that in my shop, you can come there and be comfortable at all times. Clients, all of them, you know, and I'm sure I'm appropriate, but it's more this bigger idea of like, can you work and get away with it and keep it kind of cool? And I've been able to do it for over a decade.
Nice.
So, yeah, that's
awesome.
That's it. Yeah.
So how did you get started in design?
I come from a family that was pretty creative. My dad, he sold tools all his life, but it was kind of a woodworker and worked around the house and all kinds of cool projects, and just a creative guy in his own right. My mom too, you know, basket weaving or whatever she was working on. There was all sorts of things over our childhood. But instead of video games when we were kids, you know, we had Legos, and we had colored pencil sets and lots of sketch pads and stuff. And it was, you know, drawing. All my life I've been drawing. So out of high school, you know, you have to go pick some shit, and like, you know, based on height, weight, I'm gonna be what, you know, a plumber or something, you know, whatever, based on IQ.
Yeah.
But you know, I knew I wanted to go into art, but I also knew like I didn't want to go into some sort of weird, you know, sort of heartbreak illusion fine art world, you know. So when you got a little deeper into what visual communications, you know, sort of was, there's a trade quality to it that made sense. And now, so 19 is really where I learned how to use a computer. You know, I was on the cusp of this world, this industry behind me, one day behind when I came in, one horsehair brush to make a logo. So I got to see a pretty distant, you know, like, oh man, this technology coming in now is changing everything. So I have a pretty big appreciation for basically all the people that lost a job, you know, and I've always kind of remembered that. So every little job I've had, you know, in design, it's been a weird step to see, you know, how to use the tools as simple as possible. So you know what I'm saying? But
absolutely.
To answer your question, I don't know, it would have been 1993. Yeah.
That's how you got started.
I mean, yeah, that's it. You know, I mean, it was like to start getting jobs. I didn't really get a job for about 8 or 9 years. I went snowboarding with my buddies first. I went and worked in Alaska. I had a job at a newspaper, you know, doing PageMaker, right?
Okay.
And you know, it was a trade.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't even call it a design job. It's just like I loved it for that, you know. So to go back to school to learn about that, there's like this really finite, you know, different focus, you know, set of directions that you can go in with this stuff, making, you know, publication design or crazy skittery sketch. This is the late 90s, you know, movie title design or whatever the hell people were doing back then. You know, I picked sort of print and logos and function over fashion, really. And, you know, got my first job when I was about 27 and have not looked back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so.
Nice. And what was your first job, your first gig, and how did you get that?
Well, there's degrees to it. My first job was sort of like not having to like dig a ditch, you know. My first sort of like job where it was a job I completely loved was for Snowboarder magazine. I worked with a great group of guys, and I was a art director. But the title is, what I was like the maker. I just made all the pages. I did the art, you know. But then I got my first studio job was with Cinco Design Office, and they rolled the dice on me, and it was, you see what I'm saying? There's like different degrees, It's like each one was a triumph for me personally, but then sort of was like, my first studio gig, each one of them I did it long enough to realize I want to go see what's next. But when you get to the coolest one, Cinco, can I just go make it on my own? So 2004, I've been on my own viciously since, and I'm never going back. Oh,
So you love freelance and
Funlance.
Funlance. There we go.
How about this? Just being open to like kind of whatever, big jobs, little jobs, ugly jobs, tough jobs, great kick-ass big loot jobs. I'm kind of open to all of it. And oddly enough, if the guy doesn't have any money, I do a lot of those too, where someone just needs help, be it a friend or a colleague or someone who's starting something cool. I do a lot of that stuff because there's just a beauty to, I don't know, making someone look a little bigger than they are, or giving them a fighting chance with a good idea. There's like something subversive about that I really get off on, because that's what we did with skateboard and then snowboard, and we made our own brands. If it's not out there, you go invent it. And man, I'm so thankful for that. So when people come to me and we're working on something, I'm not really, sure the loot's got to be right. If they're even in that category. But changes, extra revisions, I'm not one to really get too bummed out about that. In the end, it's not digging ditches, I did it. It's awesome. I'm never gonna, you know what I mean? I know I boiled this shit down, and it is such, and it's such a like laugh track now, because I did this talk like 42 times last year. I've got 25 gigs up until June this year. We're in February. And I'm gonna go anywhere they'll have me, and just kind of tell a kid, small is okay. Bigger, we're all gunning for the big job. But why? So you can work more, so you can make some principal a bunch of cash. And I don't even know if I've even been in those situations to understand what I'm even talking about now. You know what I mean? But it's like every dollar I make, they are from my hands. And it might not be as cool as big shoe company or fashion or some shit, but it's my buddies sometimes, or it's some guy that just didn't have any sort of idea what he was doing, and I could go in and not make him something that he couldn't manage, just make it what was appropriate for his problem. That's good design too, So, yeah, I get talking, man. I warned you, but
You're passionate.
Should I be interviewing you? Where are you from?
I'm from upstate New York.
Really? Whereabouts?
Near Albany, Colbiskill, very
God,
small,
if you're here,
small town.
who's guarding the town?
Yeah, I got a brother.
I'm gonna go speak in Albany in the fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Right on.
So,
but yeah, no, I completely relate, because I'm coming from same atmosphere, and I think my first job was pulling weeds out of a field when I was like 13. So I know bad jobs.
Yeah, or just how about like, I don't know, like there's just a bigger sort of elephant in the room of like, listen, these things cost money to go to, and that's cool. It's fun. Everyone go to them. They're cool. It's fun to go to see this shit and get a goodie bag and hang out, and you learn a ton of stuff. But, this idea of a kid getting right out of high school and then right into college and right into a job, and I meet a lot of them who are sort of like empty. It's not even about the money they're making. They want more creative control and stuff, and it's like, man, I just haven't been able to indulge in that stuff. Every stupid little job, pizza, chairlifts, whatever, we were creative how we tackled it. You learn to hate your boss very creatively in some shitty situations, but you make it fun. We knew, but it's a stepping stone. And it's like, now I meet these kids. They're whatever. I'm 39. I still feel like a kid. But it's like, man, I have to remind them, just like, are you shitting me? You're complaining because first we get to work on nice computers. You're clean. You're dry. You make a ton of cash or enough. And I think they might go back to their job and look at it a little differently, Monday morning, because, I just have a lot of perspective. So every job, nothing ever feels like creative control and really bum someone out if someone says, well, shit, we didn't like anything you showed us, It's like, well, okay, let me go back to the drawing board. You can only do it so much, but I'm not afraid of that. That doesn't, sometimes I strike out, you know what I mean? And then you just got to keep fighting.
Now, when you present projects to clients, is it usually face-to-face? Is it usually through email?
Oh, man. I mean, it used to be buddies on the chairlift would come down to Portland, and we would cage match in my basement. So every little piece that we were, let's just say, allowed to make was a triumph, right? So it was like, it never felt like you're having to it's like you get to make it. We get to make this napkin. We get to, it's just a napkin. Who cares about the napkin? Who cares about the tag? Well, we would take each one of those as a little opportunity to do something great, When you have nothing, all of it tastes good in every little piece. So now, all these years later, I can handle a guy on the phone at a big company X, no problem. I'm a nice guy on the phone. I'll watch my language. I'll dot my I's on my emails. I'll sign all the paperwork professionally, all that kind of shit. As much as a kid will just show up in my shop, I'm kind of up for kind of whatever. But, strategically, I kind of like that no one's in the shop, and I'm presenting to someone via PDF, which is just, the shit looks so good. You kind of get drunk on like a nice form on a nice big wash of white. So I always try to make a little dirty element and pound it into some concrete, pound it into some wood, put it on a little embroidery or something, show some real context to these things I make, because, there's an asterisk that comes with every little round. It's like, let me talk to you first before you go and, not quite get this thing or miss the context or something. So, they're not in the shop. It's, that's this new paradigm, I don't have to live in Portland. I could live in the woods maybe, you know what I mean? And still do this stuff. So I don't know, When they're in town, they come in, I talk so much as I'm doing right now, and it's fun. I loosen them way up, so they can just enjoy it. It's logos, it should be really fun, yeah.
It seems like you design and thrive off passion for design, and a lot of yourself goes into these pieces.
Yeah.
So I can completely understand how you're saying.
I mean, enough guys who don't like their job.
Yeah.
Whatever. They don't want to work. I like it. I've really never. It's hard for me to really. And it's much to the dismay of family, girlfriends, friends, whatever. Girlfriends. That sounds horrible. My better half, we gotta have 9 or something. Whatever. Cut all that shit out there. But just much to the dismay of people around you. I can't really deduct, work from kind of just enjoying it. I worked last night until 2 a.m, in the room, and there's nothing romantic about that. I could go out and go, what do people do? They go dancing and shit. Whatever. We're in Orlando. What do you do? I don't know. You go out and have a nice meal, or, maybe you take photos of coffee with your phone. Stupid things that stupid people do right now. Well, I can't. It's all a big game of just like getting away with it. So it's like, I have a hard time when I hear like these, guys way smarter than whatever, big, professionals, aping their job, because it's just like, man, you're so lucky to do that. But that's their deal. I know what I've got, and I know what I could go grab, and I keep it sort of, I bite off way more than I can chew, but it's never that, it's never too much. You know what I'm saying? I just have to work late.
Do you find yourself forming a process to creating these logos? Do you do anything to maybe keep everything fresh?
Yeah. I'm sorry I'm digging around. I got the sound guy back there, losing it. But there's an unsolicited advertisement. You go tell 1,000 of your friends, right? Come on, put that in there. But I'm working on things. I don't even know if I even want to show you. You know what I'm saying?
We just won't show them.
Well, it's just the idea of like I'm working on logos at all times. Some little goofy idea. I'm always sketching. So the process might be, like I actually like plane rides now. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm a man of size. Right? I fall through the cracks. Sure, plane. It's just packed in there. But I have 5 hours or 4 hours to like chip away at email, draw, sketch, make lists, analog shit in here, And I've learned to use that really, really well. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel bad when I watch a movie on there. So when I get back to my machine, I've got stuff to go start building off of, You know, I can sit down and just start vector too, but that's not usually the best. I invent things a little better than I would on paper starting, you know, or just looking at other things. You know, I mean, it's like if someone comes to me and they have this little company X as part of sort of process, I mean, I do my research. You know, I say, well, what do you want to be? What could you be? And what are all the other turkeys that you're going up against look like? Okay, great. That's what you're going up against. Well, who do you want to aspire to be? You know, who makes the big bucks, but looks like shit? Let's go look at them too. You know, and we look at all that stuff, and that just gives me sort of like better targeting. You know what I'm saying? So like, I nerd out on all that stuff. You know, sometimes the funnest part should be actually making the things, but I think it's sort of this weird sense of like wayfinding to say, okay, these little pieces of vocabulary now are fair game, or strategically, you know, they didn't use orange anywhere else in this thing. Let's use some more, or whatever that would be. You know, sometimes it's really arbitrary. You know, so I'd like to say it's some scientific 47-point plan or some shit, but it's nasty. I mean, it can come to you in any time of day. So I keep these really close to me.
Do you find it coming to you a lot, like
All the time?
subconsciously?
Well, okay, this is going to sound, put on your surreal filter, okay? This is going to sound weird, but not that all this other shit sounded like proper or anything, but I dream logos, and I've sold a couple. In my brain, you know, you're sleeping, the great mysteries of the cosmos, and you fall off into this dead sleep, and then I wake up and I designed something in my sleep, and I'll get it on paper, and then, you know, oftentimes it's out there, but I've sold a couple of those. And where does that shit come from? So that is some subconscious shit. You know, I don't think dreams are as magical as like people trump them up to be, but that's been a great little one in the quiver, extra little kick in the ass. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you know, you work all day and then, or I've toiled over shit in a dream, like reworked something in a dream. You know, like you do that kind of like repetitive. It's a nightmare at that point, you know, but I'm kind of open to all of it. What I'm not open to is sitting down at 9:01 and leaving at 4:59. I can't. I mean, I can do it creatively, sure, but I'll play my guitars, look at records, look at bullshit, read blogs, look at things, and start my job at 3 o'clock, and then do 2 hours of the most, you know, concentrated nectar you've ever, you know what I'm saying, dip shit into. I mean, I turn everything off and all the phones off and piss my girlfriend off. Why didn't you get my call? Because I was really working. And in that little hour or 2 hours, I solve it all. You know, that might happen sometimes at 4 in the morning. It's so bad for your body and shit. But I love that too.
It's good design.
That doesn't happen to insurance salesmen. Maybe it does. I don't know.
It might.
Or web coders. I'm gonna have a little fun with these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you were to give any bit of advice or the best advice to someone just starting out in the design industry,
Yeah, man, yeah. Keep it fun.
what would that be?
Keep it fun. Keep it fun. You're lucky to do it. Before I had to sweat figuring out how to make a payment with this stuff, I loved it because it was just like, it was a hobby before it became a fight. So the heartbreak one experience is when they get a big old paycheck for $3,000. Uncle Sam takes a check, you have to pay some stupid rent, this, that, you know, and you've got $47 left over to pay for your life, right? You know, that's some character building shit, you know. That was a little less for me because I kind of looked at it as like, I got $47 to do something awesome with, right? You know, like I still did it with design because, you know, I've worked other stuff, always kind of waiting. Okay, we're gonna do this winter pushing chairlifts because that's gonna get me, you know, a free pass. And we're gonna go west in a year or something. We have to work all summer long to save that money. And then, you know, when you get there, it's like this idea of like being cognizant of the moment, you know. I'm a grass is greener kind of guy, but I also know how to like stop myself and like take a note, you know, and really think about that time. And so, you know, advice, enjoy that shit while it's going down. Enjoy the ugly, you know. And, you know, I don't know, yeah, just don't let it become a job, you know. It's gonna. As my dad likes to say, put shit on you. It's a stupid thing, but it makes it rough for you. gives you a hard time. Part of this position that you're in is being graceful with that, and being able to what was it, water off a duck's ass, technical term, just let it bounce off, whatever. Chances are they got some title because they lied, cheating, lying, cheating, and stealing to get up to that point, and that'll catch up with them. I see young kids, wanting the big job, but big isn't always best. So I mean, I'm giving out a lot of little points. I'm just trying to think of my day. Sure. Like when we're done, I'm going to go back up and work. The things that I savor are the phone calls with my buddies, because they're my friends. Do I want to be on the phone splitting hairs over some ad? Hell no. They don't, but that's the currency of their life, and some, a lot of respects mine too. But I'm sort of thankful it's them. But when I have to get on the phone with someone professional, I'm cool with it too. You know what I mean? I'm just a little different. So, yeah.
Well, I thank you. I thank you for the great insight. And
do something nice with it. Say nice things about me, you guys. All right.
Cool
logo.
How can we follow you?
Oh, well, yeah.
You're on Twitter and Instagram.
I'm on the internet.
Okay.
I'm Draplin.com. Got a cousin of mine who every now and again calls me and says, "Hey, I think it's time that I got Draplin.com for a while." Yeah. So, I'm on the Twitter as Draplin. I think I have, I don't know, FaceWiz. Don't go to Facebook. I'm so sick of all that shit. But come to the site. It's daily, sorta. It's all free, rad content. I number my tweets because every tweet means something. And I'm real tired of having to read about coffee and parting your hair and shit that says LOL or fart or whatever, serious shit you guys are tweeting. So I number my tweets, and you won't get any tweets about sports and that kind of shit on the Draplin feed. So a little something, but
cool. Thank you.
Hey, man.
I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, guys. I was going to go in for a kiss. Shit. Did anyone die behind us? That was another moment of complete magic,